Hi, I'm John. I'm just your regular guy doing stuff like most of you are. I'm also one of the 3 million customers of Sterling. 3 million? Now that's surprising. You know why? It's because they make me feel like the only guy in the world. Does that remind you of someone? Anyway, back to topic. I have one of their branches down my street, but guess what? You hardly ever see my shadow there. And that's because they've made so many banking options available to me, all right here at my fingertips. With 12,383 POS terminals and 654 active ATMs spread across places I go, and the online banking suite One Bank, I can bank within my own space. Even my slow network is no match for me, because I'm also one of the 2 million USSD users who bank without the internet. I feel so much in control of my resources anytime and anywhere. I've never felt better. Choose convenient banking. To find out more, visit sterling.ng/onebank.
In today's fast-paced, high-stakes, make-or-break world, you need every edge you can get to help your business succeed. That is why we've designed the new and improved Sterling Pro. We've made it even more flexible to adapt to your enterprise, no matter the size. And we've also upgraded the security to make your business transactions more secure. And now more than ever, you can now get even more done with one premium solution. Get the extra edge to succeed in today's competitive world with a solution that's built for your business. Visit sterling.ng/pro and let's get your business ahead.
My name is Prince Ugochukwu Iwajoku. I'm into livestock farming. The Sway Agfin has really helped Bedet farm in a lot of ways. Previously, I've tried to get a loan, get support from every other means, but I think I found this one very okay for me. It improves my bed capacity. Usually I was doing 2,000, 3,000, but due to the low interest, I've been able to do 8,000 and more. It's a very good opportunity for me. I'm really grateful that I have to key into this opportunity. You don't really need to struggle to pay whatever interest you have with Sway Agfin. So this is a great opportunity for you. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, your dream can get better with Sway Agfin.
Courage to me is rising above vulnerabilities. When I find that there is a situation for me to speak up, I just speak up. People should see women beyond their perceived weaknesses. Sterling has given me the platform of confidence. Don't always put yourself as secondary. Always remember to be you at all times. Don't be afraid to take on opportunities. So to me, not letting go of that thing that you stand for and that thing that you really want to achieve is courage. My International Women's Day message is, dear women, be willing to take risks.
In my house, I have a 4 kVA solar inverter, which powers 2 smart TVs, 20 LED bulbs, 1 double-door fridge, 5 standing fans, 4 laptops, and 1 printer. My experience has been fantastic. Just imagine going downstairs at 1 a.m. to go pull the generator. I can't even remember the last time I went downstairs to put on the generator. I normally would spend 60,000 naira monthly fueling my generator. When I think of how much I've been able to save buying my solar power solution, I've been able to save up to 75 to 80% of the cost. Now I have 24/7 power supply. Honestly, what more do I need?
I pride myself on being quite a logical person, but the response is always, oh, you're too emotional, or it's harsh, or maybe you can tone it down or find a way to play it down.
I think it's actually a tradition that women are supposed to behave in a certain way.
For us to have a workplace that is healthy, we must constantly put measures in place to rid that environment of stereotypes.
When I'm passionate and I try to drive on my points, I'm seen as very emotional. Medina, you are being emotional.
Being that I'm a woman, I see experiences where guys have the same exact reaction, but it's not interpreted as being emotional.
A whole lot of those things set up barriers or set up a wall that hinders a woman from moving.
As a woman in Nigeria, you are already at a disadvantage because everybody thinks that you are lesser than any man.
So sadly, gender bias does exist in the workplace.
Many women come to the workplace with zeal for excellence, but they get there and because of the stereotype and glass ceiling, they succumb.
It feels sometimes like you're losing certain parts of your personality, but I've decided to chalk it up to personal development and get better, improve my interpersonal relationships.
As a black person and a woman, you are really rated not too highly.
I had a male driver who it was so clear that he had issues with me being the boss. So if we had issues, he would rather defer to male members of the family than to actually take instructions from me. And every time I confronted him, he always felt, oh no, madam, no biso. He always made me feel as if I was being overly sensitive, but it was clear from his reaction, his demeanor, and watching him interact with other men in the family that he had an issue with me being his boss. I think dealing with that kind of person, it was a little coming from the place of the level of education and exposure that he had. It was difficult for him to just comprehend that I have a wife like you at home, so why should I listen to you?
Well, in our society, a lot of the ways we behave is dependent on our culture, on our tradition.
Culturally, what we're used to in this part of the world is that a woman is either married or not yet married. So when you start to bring in the context of being divorced or separated, people make comments about, oh, you're still at work, who's looking after your child? Giving the impression that you wanting to be a successful, capable member of your team, you're somehow putting your family in jeopardy or at risk.
Not just divorced and single women, even married women. If you are married and you are thriving in the workplace, it's because you are not submissive to your husband at home. If you are not married in the workplace, either divorced or single, it's because you cannot be submissive to a man in the workplace. And there are so many policies also that do not support your marital status. A typical one that I keep wondering is, why must my HMO be for my spouse and my children? Why not my dependents? And you find out that many times it is the women that are at the receiving end of such policies.
I think it's quite unfair. Women juggle a lot of things. Single moms in particular have to, bear a lot of burdens that they would normally share. It would be great for us to be more supportive of these women rather than make them feel that they're less than they are.
I think the easiest way is speaking out and speaking up. By speaking up, I genuinely mean that when you see something that's not going properly, as opposed to saying, oh, nah, my guy, or bro code, right? You should stand up, right? You should call it out.
If we have a more enabling environment that is free of stereotypes and biases, women would excel and do great things.
Well, for me, that kind of workplace would be where we have policies, that, that reads the environment of bias, where we have conversations that are, let's say, stereotype free.
And when we begin to have such policies, then unconscious and conscious biases that are fueled by societal expectations are also played down.
And also, the onus falls on men. The onus falls on you, right, to be the change leader, to look out for some of these subtle things, character-wise, subtle jokes, and all these things that that women generally are not comfortable with, and then speak up about it.
To the young girls,
You can be so much more.
I think they should be more assertive.
Dream for more. I'm happy today that in the world there's so many examples of strong women, both here in Nigeria and right across the world.
When we have to celebrate women, there's need to give them their flowers, all right? We must constantly think about how to ensure that we have women in more leadership positions.
Sterling has been very, very encouraging, and I commend them for that.
Sterling has built a very solid foundation to ensure that there's no gunshot on a woman's leg, right? She comes in fit, she comes in happy, and she can compete with anyone.
So I think Sterling has taken the right steps to put its money where its mouth is and give women a safer, a better work culture and environment to work in.
We're already doing a lot, but there's need to do more. There's always room for improvement.
When you give a woman something, she always multiplies it positively. So give them a space to multiply in the workplace and in the society.
My general message to women is don't be small, don't compromise. If you want to be whatever you want to be, go for it. If you want to be an engineer, that's fine. If you want to be a full housewife, that's fine.
Be clear about what is important to you so that you channel your energies effectively. If your family is most important to you, put that first. If your career is most important to you, then put that first. But let it be your decision. Don't let the world decide and tell you who you should be. Own your narrative, own your personality, and certainly own your career.
This is Nigeria, the corporate jungle, where everyone is either a hustler or a make-believe CEO. To succeed, you have to work hard and seize your opportunities. And if you do, you could be one of Africa's next billionaires. Our crude makes us one of the most oil-rich countries in the world and Africa's largest economy. However, the country still lacks basic infrastructure, a factor that can make doing business difficult. The entrepreneurial spirit in Nigeria is ranked as one of the fastest growing globally. Sterling Bank recognizes this and is giving budding entrepreneurs an opportunity to pitch their ideas, convince the judges, and get that critical capital investment to kickstart their business.
The problem with that is, how can I invest in your idea if I can't see how I'm going to get my money back?
These applicants will come face to face with our business experts and celebrity judges who have been handpicked to help develop and decide the fates of these anxious entrepreneurs. From over 8,000 applicants, we are down to 200 business ideas. But only 3 with compelling innovations will be selected to grow their dream business and harness their full potential. The question now is, who will succeed, who will fail, and what business will get that 10 million naira?
12 rounds, ding ding. Sick and tired of the whole damn thing, yeah. Stick a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling. You're never gonna keep me down. You're never gonna keep me down. No, no, no. You're never gonna keep me down. You're never gonna keep me down. No, no, no. Be lucky if I stick around. Maybe foolish, but I ain't a clown. No, no, no. You're never gonna keep me down. You're never gonna keep me down. No, 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 no.
Pitch Nigeria, brought to you by Sterling.
Hi guys. Although the Nigerian youth might have been labeled as lazy, we still have the fastest group of entrepreneurs in the world. In order to start a successful business, you need to start small, but dream big. We've had over 2,000 participants coming to pitch to our judges who have money, millions to invest in their beautiful ideas. However, today we're narrowed down to our top 200. Hi guys! Hi! My name is Illy, and this is The Pitch Nigeria. It's brought to you in conjunction with Sterling Bank and Enterprise for Development Center of the Pan-African University. Now we have only one rule: impress the judges or fall out of the race. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. This is The Pitch Nigeria.
The Pitch Nigeria, brought to you by Sterling.
What are you pitching today?
I'm here to pitch a new product that my company has developed. It's a platform called Charisoil.com. So yeah, that's why I'm actually here today.
Okay, man, sounds very exciting, man. New product. Let's go see what the judges have to say about your pitch. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Just slide through, and they'll be waiting for you.
Lanray Smith from Charisoil.com meets our judges. Chuki Links Edozian, popular artist, web designer, and entrepreneur. Lola Falokun, project manager at the Enterprise Development Center.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon.
The bold Bemi Olateru Olagbegi, honor personality and CEO Bemi Soke Shoes.
You're welcome to Pitch Nigeria.
Thank you.
You have 1 minute to pitch your business idea to us.
And finally, our guest judge, Olawale Anifowoshe, Programs Director at the Enterprise Development Center of the Pan-African University.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Lanray Smith. I'm the Managing Director for World-Based Technologies. I'm here to pitch my company and the new product that we have. I look Igbo, but I'm actually Yoruba. My mom is Igbo. I went to school in the north, so I would say I'm a complete Nigerian. I went to the Nigerian military school, after which I graduated and went to England to the Imperial College of Science, Technology and Medicine, where I studied mechanical engineering. Imagine you're a bank, you've just disbursed 2.3 billion naira to a customer to import refined petroleum products. All of a sudden, your team goes into panic mode. They're wondering, I have to assign a collateral manager. Have they started selling? Who is getting me all this reports? Also, the collateral managers have to, on a daily basis, send you reports on stock movements and everything else that's going on in the depots. We also have the independent marketers. They have to dissipate all their product information to all the customers that needs than bots, and customers as well need to call up everywhere looking for where to buy products. Well, there must be a better way to do this. What we've done is we have integrated all these people on top of one unique platform called the Charisoil distribution and management platform. Now customers can easily log on, look for who has the available product, and then banks have complete visibility of everything that is being sold on the platform. They're able to manage their stock. It's an 18 billion liters of product that are sold every year in Nigeria with little or no online channel. We are here to disrupt the market by charging a fee for every product that is actually sold on the platform. Thank you very much.
Okay, awesome. I honestly didn't quite get what that product was.
He's articulate, and his demeanor is confident, but he might need a miracle to convince the judges who at this point do not look impressed with his pitch.
I'm looking forward to speaking with the judges from Sterling Bank. They are one of our key target markets in terms of the audience that we want to target. They are one of the major users of our platform, and they will be very instrumental in also deploying it for their own customers.
You had 1 minute to pitch your idea, but you sort of focused on the challenges more. So at the time when I really wanted to hear and hit it, it wasn't. So in 2 seconds, can you just tell us quickly, what is that solution that you're offering?
Yes, so the solution is the platform that brings together everybody within the downstream oil and gas sector.
I think he will need slightly more than 2 seconds.
All right, man, all the best, and we'll get back to you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
As he managed to win them over, from the expression on his face, Wale Anifawoshe is still unsatisfied.
How was your pitch?
It was good, short and sweet. I had 1 minute, and I think I did my company and my product justice. So yeah, it was good.
Nailed it in 1 minute. You know, so fingers crossed, we will see you at the top 50 pitches.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Appreciate it.
All right, this is The Pitch Nigeria. More pitches coming your way, celebrity judges, EDC judges, and lots more coming up next.
The Pitch Nigeria, brought to you by Sterling.
Good afternoon, judges.
Hello, Femi, you're welcome to The Pitch Nigeria.
Thank you.
And you have 1 minute to pitch your business idea to us.
My name is Olufemi Oshin. I started my business in January 2018 with almost nothing, except with my pen, my notepad, my phone, and my system. I studied electronics engineering in Yaba College of Technology. While I was in school, I just knew back then that I used to have this passion towards real estate. I'm working on developing an application that will help prospective tenants virtually inspect a property without actually being there. They can inspect a property from the comfort of their phone. It's just like you using Google Street View. I want to expand and scale my business by creating a mobile app that will make it easy for prospective tenants to find a property virtually. That is, you can find the property just like you are using Google Street View. You don't need to go from one property listings to another. You just log on to my app and you can check the rooms, go around the compound. The second component of my app is that people always ask me, how is electricity situation in a particular area before they rent a property? I know that if I can input this technology in my app, that is, I call this a power supply information that is going to be embedded in my application. If people can have this need, this need can be solved. It's going to solve a lot of problems. It's going to increase the value of my application. Thank you.
I think it's an interesting idea. My question would be,
what way will our first pitch swing? Olufemi needs to keep the judges interested if he wants to survive the top 200 auditions.
What are my expectations? Like everybody else, I expect to be selected. That's it.
In everything you've said, what's the value proposition you're bringing to the market?
My value proposition is virtual reality.
I wish you luck on your journey, and I pray that you actually succeed at what you're doing, but you need to tighten up your business idea.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right.
You're never gonna keep me down. You're never gonna keep me down. No, 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 no.
Pitch Nigeria, brought to you by Sterling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, my name is Adequiton Riomi.
Can you speak a little louder?
My name is Adequiton Riomi.
Come forward, stand on the circle, please.
Okay.
Yes,
my name is Adequiton Riomi. I'm the founder of AlphaJet.
Okay, so you're welcome to the Pitch Nigeria, and you have 1 minute for you to pitch your business idea to us.
I come from a family of 4, studied electrical engineering in school. I was involved in a lot of activities. Basically, for me, for fun, I enjoy video games, public speaking, and anything that has to do with getting my hands dirty, innovations and energy audit and alternative source of energy. AlphaJet is a an instant area medical delivery system based on 3 goals: delivering, supply chain, and storage. What's our problem? Our problem, we are targeting the ever-growing increase in mortality rate of maternal mothers and their infants during childbirth, the high fatality period during a road accident, and basically every medical problem that we have that requires instant and quick attention. AlphaJet is constantly, we are proposing, we are using our locally made drone facility to deliver drone blood and medical supplies from our delivery center to medical units where they are requested for within a 40-kilometer radius. Our 3 major financial platforms are targeting the 3 elites of the world, which are the pay-as-you-go target the average Nigerians in the general hospital that cannot afford a subscription, but when they need it, at the time they need it, they can get it. The subscription platform goes to the elite and the public and the private health center that can afford the credit platform whereby they are paid and they subscribe beforehand, and once they have any problem, we can give them either a house or an hospital assistant. And our major platform, which is the Piggy receipt, is to those areas that don't have access to the internet framework and other platforms that these other 2 sectors have. But they can be using a written receipt like the Isusu, whereby they can issue a receipt to people that come there. Then we come at the end of the week or at the end of the month to collect remunerations.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is he selling his business passionately or just rambling? Those faces say it all.
Have you done debates before? Have you done debate before?
Yes, sir.
You have, I can tell.
How many drones have you built so
built
far?
2 so far.
Can you get one to come here now?
No, sir.
They
are 2 different.
How long did it take to build the drones?
The first one took 7 years. But the second one took like 4 months.
Thanks for your pitch. We'll get back to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You're never gonna keep me down. You're never gonna keep me down. No, 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 no.
Pitch Nigeria, brought to you by Sterling.
Hello.
Hi. Got scared.
Halfway into the audition of our Top 200, the judges have listened to several nice concepts, but not many compelling pitches. Will none of the contestants so far make the cut?
So I have one question for you.
The problem with that is, how can I invest in your idea if I can't see how I'm going to get my money back?
All right, let's find out from the judges if we have anybody that's worthy of that 10 million yen. Any takers?
No.
Of course.
No.
So no for you?
No.
Nah. Because we're hardly getting businesses, we're getting ideas.
We're getting ideas, but we're not getting solid ideas. We need solid ideas. Ideas that Bemi and Lola and Links can put money in. We're not yet there.
Not quite there.
Not there yet.
You're never gonna keep me down. You're never gonna keep me down. No, 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 no.
Pitch Nigeria, brought to you by Sterling.
What does it take to be a successful businessman in Nigeria? I think there are a few things. First of all, you have to have a solid business plan. Having a solid business plan means understanding the business that you're about to start beyond just the excitement of starting a business, but also the pros and cons, the challenges that you might face on the way, and most importantly, your financial budget to start the business.
For me, I think you need to be focused, you need to be determined, you need to have that entrepreneurial mindset, and you need to have, a strong zeal.
Majority of these amazing ideas were not from Lagos, which just shows you that, all around the country, there are people who are thinking of solutions to problems that some of us might not even realize we have.
It started with an application process, so those applications were reviewed. When they were reviewed, so we were able to grade and see those very good businesses that we felt could, and they went through a training, they went through an online training, so that had already given them the edge. So people come and they meet with other people that they can actually do business with and they can learn from.
Pitch Nigeria, brought to you by Sterling.
It's time for a timeout right now on the pitch, Nigeria, but our judges and our contestants need a little bit of time just to get refreshed so we can come back and give you the magic moments on the pitch right here. When we do come back, we're going to have a judge change. Replacing Wale Anifoeshe would be Chinazo Okoye from the EDC. This is the Pitch Nigeria. Stay tuned for some more amazing pitches coming up next.
Courage would mean in 3 words to me, dare to overcome. And I say that because life presents us with choices. Courage itself is one of the choices that life presents to us. So we have to dare to take up that choice to be courageous. I learned early enough as a girl that I had to speak up for myself because there wasn't much attention on me. You have to come up. Bring yourself up for consideration. Don't give in, don't give up, keep going. You're not just speaking for yourself. Just know that you're a voice for the voiceless. Be as courageous as possible and you may just actually get to where you want to be.
I think of myself as a courageous woman, but I do not think that there was a particularly defining moment. I think it's a sum total of the experiences that I've had and the opportunity to grow. We're in a defining moment in history where you can have it all. My advice to women all over the world will be that each day is an opportunity. When you wake up, it will be a determination of what the day requires and to give it your best within that 24 hours. Then we can take each day at a time. And for me, that is what courage is.
Hi, I'm John. I'm just your regular guy doing stuff like most of you are. I'm also one of the 3 million customers of Sterling. 3 million? Now that's surprising. You know why? It's because they make me feel like the only guy in the world. Does that remind you of someone? Anyway, back to topic. I have one of their branches down my street, but guess what? You hardly ever see my shadow there. And that's because they've made so many banking options available to me, all right here at my fingertips. With 12,383 POS terminals and 654 active ATMs spread across places I go, and the online banking suite One Bank, I can bank within my own space. Even my slow network is no match for me, because I'm also one of the 2 million USSD users who bank without the internet. I feel so much in control of my resources, anytime and anywhere. I've never felt better. Choose convenient banking. To find out more, visit sterling.ng/onebank.
In today's fast-paced, high-stakes, make-or-break world, you need every edge you can get to help your business succeed. That is why we've designed the new and improved Sterling Pro. We've made it even more flexible to adapt to your enterprise, no matter the size. And we've also upgraded the security to make your business transactions more secure. And now, more than ever, you can now get even more done with one premium solution. Get the extra edge to succeed in today's competitive world with a solution that's built for your business. Visit sterling.ng/pro and let's get your business ahead.
My name is Prince Ugochukwu Iwajoku. I'm into livestock farming. The Sway Agfin has really helped Badet farm in a lot of ways. Previously, I've tried to get a loan, get support from every other means, but I think I found this one very okay for me. It improves my bed capacity. Usually I was doing 2,000, 3,000, but due to the low interest, I've been able to do 8,000 or more. It's a very good opportunity for me. I'm really grateful that I have to key into this opportunity. You don't really need to struggle to pay whatever interest you have with Sway Agfin. So this is a great opportunity for you. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, your dream can get better with Sway Agfin.
Courage to me is rising above vulnerabilities. When I find that there is a situation for me to speak up, I just speak up. People should see women beyond their perceived weaknesses. Sterling has given me the platform of confidence. Don't always put yourself as secondary. Always remember to be you at all times. Don't be afraid to take on opportunities. So to me, not letting go of that thing that you stand for and that thing that you really want to achieve is courage. My International Women's Day message is, dear women, be willing to take risks.
In my house, I have a 4 kVA solar inverter, which powers 2 smart TVs, 20 LED bulbs, 1 double-door fridge, 5 standing fans, 4 laptops, and 1 printer. My experience has been fantastic. Just imagine going downstairs at 1 a.m. to go pull the generator. I can't even remember the last time I went downstairs to put on the generator. I normally would spend 60,000 naira monthly fueling my generator. When I think of how much I've been able to save buying my solar power solution, I've been able to save up to 75 to 80% of the cost. Now I have 24/7 power supply. Honestly, what more do I need?
I pride myself on being quite a logical person, but the response is always, oh, you're too emotional, or it's harsh, or maybe you can tone it down or find a way to play it down.
I think it's actually a tradition that women are supposed to behave in a certain way.
For us to have a workplace that is healthy, we must constantly put measures in place to rid that environment of stereotypes.
When I'm passionate and I try to drive home my points, I'm seen as very emotional. Medina, you are being emotional.
Being that I'm a woman, I see experiences where guys have the same exact reaction, but it's not interpreted as being emotional.
A whole lot of those things set up barriers or set up a wall that hinders a woman from moving.
As a woman in Nigeria, you are already at a disadvantage because everybody thinks that you are lesser than any man.
So sadly, gender bias does exist in the workplace.
Many women come to the workplace with zeal for excellence, but they get there and because of the stereotype and glass ceiling, they succumb.
It feels sometimes like you're losing certain parts of your personality, but I've decided to chuck it up to personal development and get better, improve my interpersonal relationships.
As a black person and a woman, you are really rated not too highly.
I had a male driver who it was so clear that he had issues with me being the boss. So if we had issues, he would rather defer to male members of the family than to actually take instructions from me. And every time I confronted him, he always felt, oh no, madam, no biso. He always made me feel as if I was being overly sensitive, but it was clear from his reaction, his demeanor, and watching him interact with other men in the family that he had an issue with me being his boss. I think dealing with that kind of person, it was a little coming from the place of the level of education and exposure that he had. It was difficult for him to just comprehend that I have a wife like you at home, so why should I listen to you?
Well, in our society, a lot of the ways we behave is dependent on our culture, on our tradition.
Culturally, what we're used to in this part of the world is that a woman is either married or not yet married. So when you start to bring in the context of being divorced or separated, people make comments about, oh, you're still at work, who's looking after your child? You know, giving the impression that you wanting to be a successful, capable member of your team, you're somehow putting your family in jeopardy or at risk.
Not just divorced and single women, even married women. If you are married and you are thriving in the workplace, it's because you are not submissive to your husband at home. If you are not married in the workplace, either divorced or single, it's because you cannot be submissive to a man in the workplace. And there are so many policies also that do not support your marital status. A typical one that I keep wondering is, why must my HMO be for my spouse and my children? Why not my dependents? And you find out that many times it is the women that are at the receiving end of such policies.
I think it's quite unfair. Women juggle a lot of things. Single moms in particular have to, bear a lot of burdens that they would normally share. It would be great for us to be more supportive of these women rather than make them feel that they're less than they are.
I think the easiest way is speaking out and speaking up. By speaking up, I genuinely mean that when you see something that's not going properly, as opposed to saying, oh, nah, my guy, or bro code, right? You should stand up, right? You should call it out.
If we have a more enabling environment that is free of stereotypes and biases, women would excel and do great things.
Well, for me, that kind of workplace would be where we have policies that, reads the environment.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please may I sit? Thank you. Distinguished shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies of the press, I welcome you to today's court-ordered meeting of our bank. In accordance with the provisions of Section 256 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, I would now respectfully call on our Company Secretary, Mrs. Temitayo Adegoke, to confirm that the meeting has been properly constituted and we have a quorum. Temitayo.
Good morning, distinguished shareholders. I confirm that a meeting has been duly convened and properly constituted in accordance with Section 256 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act and Article 54 of the Articles of Association of the Bank. The quorum for general meetings of the bank is members or their representatives holding not less than 50% of the issued shares of the bank. Based on the shareholders present in person and by proxy, I confirm that we have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Temitayo. Again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the court-ordered meeting of our company, Sterling Bank PLC. This meeting is being conducted through the use of proxies by shareholders of the bank in the interest of public safety and having due regard to the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC's COVID-19 guidance for safe mass gatherings in Nigeria. Pursuant to the court order convening this meeting, I have been appointed to act as the chairman of the meeting. Before we proceed, as is our tradition in this bank, I'd like to call for prayers to guide us through our proceedings. And respectfully, I'd like to call on Alhaji Kabiru Tambari to give us opening prayers. Alhaji, please. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وسلم. I pray Almighty Allah to help our bank, to help our directors. The agenda that we are going to discuss today and approve, I pray Almighty Allah to intervene on it. Also the whole code that we are going to propose to be a good investment to us, we shareholders, because HOLCO is very important to the banks now, especially in terms of tax. I pray Almighty Allah, the insecurity we are facing in this country, to intervene on it, especially we in the north. Also the election that is coming next year, God Almighty to give us good leaders, not rulers. I pray Almighty Allah to return us to our various destinations safely, to continue helping Sterling Bank, to continue helping our shareholders and Nigeria in particular. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Alaji. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you your directors who are here with us physically and virtually, and our company secretary. Today, I'll start with the managing director, Abubakar Suleiman, who's sitting to my right. Next, our executive director, corporate and investment banking, Mr. Yemi Odubi. Next, I'll introduce Mr. Tunde Adiola, our executive director, commercial and institutional banking. Mr. Rahim Udei, our executive director, operations and services. Then on the screen, not here, Mrs. Olushola Oworu, who is an independent non-executive director. Mr. Michael Ajuku, an independent non-executive director. Mr. Olaiton Kajero, a non-executive director. With us here always, Mrs. Tyra Tijani, a non-executive director. Mr. Michael Jitubo, a non-executive director. Mr. Olatunji Mayaki, a non-executive director. Mr. Ankala Prasad, a non-executive director. Mr. Paritos Tripathi was on the board until the 17th of August, when by promotion out of his bank, who are shareholders in our bank, he had to leave our board. But I mention him because he was party to the approval of the scheme we're going to approve today. Also in attendance with us here is our extremely hardworking company secretary, Temitayo Adegoke. To properly effect what we want to propose to shareholders today, we've had advisors working with us, and we've tried hard to ensure that we've had the most efficient and effective advisors competent in this line of business. Our financial advisors are Stanbic IBTC, represented by Funsho Akere. Our legal advisors are Banwa Nigodalo, represented by Mrs. Sadiq. PACE registrars are registrars, represented by Mr. Adeniji, Tokumbo Adeniji. Auditors and scrutineers, Deloitte and Touche, Michael Oshinloye. I don't know, our tax advisors here? Okay, that's W.A. Karima and Co. Thank you very much for the work you've done. And our asset managers, associated asset managers, who are going to be our stockbrokers. You're here represented. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would also like to acknowledge the representatives of our regulators. Somebody accosted me as I came in and started talking about regulators. So I said, today is not for discussions on regulators. But we appreciate our regulators, you know. They keep us on the straight and narrow and they ensure certain levels of financial stability. Corporate Affairs Commission, Adebanke Oke, Mrs., thank you very much for coming. The CBN, Fausat Shitu, Mrs., thank you very much. NDIC, Mr. Adewale Kadri, thank you very much. CBN, again, Mr. Laure Adebayo, thank you very much. CBN, Mr. Adegbulugwe Benson. And CBN, Mr. Aliogo. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. Our audit committee is ably represented by our chairman, Alhaji Mustafa Junodu. And online, we have Ms. Christy Vincent and Mr. Indo Esi Udo. Thank you all for coming. We also have here our shareholders who are holding proxies, and I'd like to specifically thank all of you. Today is a Monday. It's a Monday morning. It's a difficult day to step out of your own usual business. And for those who have traveled long distances, it's difficult. So thank you so much, and we're truly appreciative. We're appreciative that you agreed to serve as proxies, and we're appreciative that you physically come today. Thank you so much. So I'd like to acknowledge specifically Dr. Farouk Umar, Chief Boniface Okezie, Mr. Benga Ido, Mrs. Funke Augustine, Alhaji Kabiru Tambari, Mr. Adeleke Adebayo, and Mr. Nonao. Nona, why are you looking down? Mr. Nonao. I thank you all again for the sacrifice you make on behalf of our bank. We sincerely apologize to our loyal shareholders who would also have liked to be here but can't physically attend because of the COVID restrictions. And I hope everybody is able to connect and join us live stream. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please note that for this particular meeting, because of the nature of the meeting and the judicial superintending of this meeting, voting on the motion to be moved will be by way of poll, which means that each shareholder who has submitted a proxy form within the designated time is entitled to 1 vote for every share he or she holds in the bank. In line with the order received from the Federal High Court to hold this meeting, the voting in these proceedings will be by proxy only. Many shareholders have sent in proxy forms ahead of this meeting, designating those of our shareholders who are physically present who shall represent them in the voting. So I'd like to ask our registrars to please come and provide a proxy report so they can reconfirm this. Mr. Deniji, please. Thank you. Tokumbo. Yeah. Can someone please give him a microphone, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I hereby report that as at 24 hours before this meeting, and as required by Sterling Bank Articles of Association, we had received duly completed proxy form 1,114 shareholder holding a total of 18,549,458,814 shares, representing 64.43% of the total shareholding. Appointing proxies from among the persons listed in the scheme document and the court order published by Sterling Bank. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dokumo. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this meeting has been convened pursuant to an order of the Federal High Court of Nigeria, which was granted on the 5th of August 2022, to enable the shareholders of our bank consider and, if thought fit, approve the proposed scheme of arrangements. I'd now like to call on the representative of the legal advisor, Banwa Nigodalo, to read the court order directing that this meeting be held, as well as the notice issued pursuant to that court order. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, distinguished shareholders. Good morning, Chairman. I will now proceed to read the order.
Sorry, madam, you need to raise your voice.
Okay, sorry.
And you need to let us know who you are.
Good morning, distinguished shareholders. Good morning, Chairman. My name is Tosino Ibanjo. I'm a representative of Bamwa Nigodalu. I will now proceed to read the notice of the court-ordered meeting. In the Federal High Court of Nigeria, in the Lagos Judicial Division, holding at Lagos, suit number FHCL CS 1470-2022, in the matter of the Companies and Allied Matters Act number 3 of 2022, and in the matter of an application under section 711 and 715 thereof, in re Sterling Bank PLC and the Alternative Bank Limited, meeting of the holders of the fully paid ordinary shares of Sterling Bank PLC. Notice is hereby given that by an order of the Federal High Court, dated 5th day of August 2022, made in the above matter, because as directed as a meeting of the holders of the fully paid up ordinary shares of Sterling Bank PLC, be convened for the purpose of considering and, if thought fit, approving, with or without modification, a scheme of arrangement between the bank and holders of the fully paid up ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the bank, in accordance with sections 715 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, number 3 of 2020, as amended, incorporating a carve-out and transfer of the non-interest banking business under section 711 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, number 3 of 2020, as amended. The meeting will be held on Monday, 19 September 2022 at Shell Hall, Moson Center, Onikon, Lagos, Nigeria, at 10 a.m. or soon thereafter, at which place and time the holders are requested to attend. The explanatory statements providing the details of the scheme, as well as a copy of the said scheme, are incorporated on pages 12 to 17 and 18 to 21, respectively, of the scheme document, of which this notice forms a part. The under-mentioned subjoined resolutions will be proposed and considered, and if thought fit, passed as a special resolution at the meeting. That's 1. The scheme of arrangements dated August 5, 2022, a printed copy of which has been produced for the meeting, and for the purpose of identification only, signed by a chairman, be and is hereby approved. 2. In accordance with the scheme of arrangement, the 28,790,418,124 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the issued and paid up share capital of the bank held by the scheme shareholders be and are hereby transferred to Sterling Financial Holdings Company Limited, Holdco, in exchange for the allotment of 28,790,418,124 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the share capital of Holdco to the shareholders in the same proportion to their shareholding in the bank, credited as fully paid without any further acts or deed. 3. The bank will transfer all the assets, liabilities, and undertakings related to the non-interest banking business to the Alternative Bank Limited. 4. In accordance with the scheme of arrangement, all of the shares held by the bank and its nominee in the Alternative Bank Limited, together with all rights and liabilities attached to such shares, shall be transferred to Holdco. The Alternative Bank will be a direct subsidiary of Holdco. 5. The Board of Directors of the bank be and is hereby authorized to take all necessary actions to release the shares of the bank from the official list of Nigerian Exchange Limited. 6. The bank be registered as a private limited liability company under the Act, and the memorandum and articles of the bank be and are hereby amended as set out in the annexure to the notice of meeting. 7. That the solicitors of the company be and are hereby directed to seek orders of the court sanctioning the scheme and the foregoing resolutions, as well as such incidental, consequential, and supplemental orders as are necessary or required to give effect to the scheme. 8. The Board of Directors of the bank be and is hereby authorized to do all such things and take all such actions as are required to give effect to the scheme, including consenting to any modifications of the scheme of arrangements or any conditions that the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal High Courts, or any other regulatory authority may think fit to approve or impose. By the said order, the court has appointed Mr. Asiri Godalo as chairman of the meeting, or failing him, Mr. Abubakar Suleiman, or failing both of them, any other directors who are appointed in their stead, to act as chairman of the said meeting, and as directed that a report of the meeting be provided to the court. Voting at the meeting will be by poll. The scheme will be subject to the final approval of the Securities and Exchange Commission and subsequent sanction of the court, and will become effective upon the delivery of a certified true copy of the order of the court sanctioning the scheme to the Corporate Affairs Commission. Pursuant to the order, in the interest of public safety and having due regard to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control COVID-19 guidance for safe mass gatherings in Nigeria, only persons indicated to be selected proxies on the proxy form will be allowed to attend the meeting physically. All other shareholders will be required to attend the meeting online and to vote at the meeting through a proxy. In view of the foregoing, an order of the court was sought and obtained for the court-ordered meeting to be held by proxy. A proxy may be selected from any of the following individuals. 1, Mr. Asiri Godalu. 2, Mrs. Tyra Tijani. 3, Mr. Abubakar Suleiman. 4, Mrs. Temitayo Adekoke. 5, Brigadier General Ikoyi. 6, Sir Sonny Umosu. 7, Dr. Farouk Umar. 8, Mr. Matthew Akinlade. 9, Mrs. Oludewa Thorpe. 10, Mr. Boniface Okezie. 11, Mr. Gwenga Idowu. 12, Mrs. Funke Augustine. 13, Mr. Ridwan Hamza. 14, Alhaji Kabiru Tambari. 15, Mr. Adeleke Adebayo. 16, Mr. Nona Awu. The selected proxies are to attend the meeting and vote on their own behalf, as well as on behalf of the shareholders who selected them as proxies. Other shareholders can join the meeting and follow the proceedings online via real-time streaming options, which have been provided in this notice. Shareholders who have appointed any of the selected proxies and have given the proxy voting instructions can also participate and attend the meeting online. Any shareholder attending the court-ordered meeting online who has any questions in respect of the scheme will be able to ask such questions during the court-ordered meeting via the real-time streaming options. When a shareholder executes a proxy form without selecting a proxy or indicating how his or her shares should be voted, such proxy form will be deemed to be invalid. In the case of joint shareholders, the vote of the senior holder who tenders a vote, whether in person or by proxy, will be accepted to the exclusion of the votes of the other joint shareholders. And for this purpose, seniority will be determined by the order in which their names stand in the register of members of the bank. A proxy form will be sent to the registered email address of shareholders alongside the scheme documents and would also be available online at www.sterling.ng and www.spaceregistrars.com. It is requested that duly executed proxy forms, together with any power of attorney or other authority under which it is signed, or a notarized copy of such power of attorney or other authority, be lodged at the office of the registrar of the bank, as shown on the proxy form, not less than 24 hours before time appointed for the court-ordered meeting. Shareholders are encouraged to submit the duly completed proxy form on or before 10 a.m. on Friday, 16 September 2022. A member entitled to attend the court-ordered meeting who does not receive a copy of the scheme document within 14 days of the notice of this meeting can obtain copies of same free of charge from the registrar of the bank, whose office address is at Akuro House, 8th floor, 24 Campbell Street, Lagos, Nigeria. The scheme documents will also be available online at www.sterling.ng and www.spaceregistrars.com. Closure of Register of Members. The Register of Members will be closed from 5th of September 2022 for the purpose of determining attendance at the court-ordered meeting. Interested shareholders may choose to attend this hearing, dated this 22nd day of August 2022. I will now proceed to read the court's order. In the Federal High Court, holding at Lagos, Nigeria, suit number FHC-L CS 147C 2022, between Sterling Bank PLC, first applicants, and the Alternative Bank Limited, second applicants. Upon reading the affidavits in support, written address and exhibits attached, dated and filed on the 4th day of August 2022 in the Federal High Court Registry, sworn to by Temitayo Adegoke, female Nigerian, Company Secretary of the first applicant and the second applicant, respectively, of Sterling Towers, 20 Marina Road, Lagos Island, Lagos State, Nigeria. After hearing Olabale Adeniyi for the applicant's move in terms of this application, it is hereby ordered, 1, that an order is granted directing the first applicant to convene a meeting of its shareholders for the purpose of considering and, if thought fit, approving with or without modification the scheme of arrangement in the form and context of the scheme documents annexed hereto. 2, that an order is granted directing that the first applicant's meeting be convened and held at the Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos, or such other venue as the directors of the first applicants may determine on the 19th day of September 2022 at 10 a.m., or such other dates and or time as the board of directors of the first applicants may determine. 3, that an order is granted directing that the first applicants meeting be held and conducted in any manner as the first applicants board of directors may deem fit, including through proxies appointed from a list of proxies designated by the first applicant's board of directors, or participation by telephone or other electronic means, or such other virtual or audio-visual communication facilities, having due regard to prevailing circumstances and applicable governmental guidelines on public gatherings and physical distancing thereof, with the notice clearly specifying the instructions on how to access and participate in that meeting. 4, that an order is granted directing that Mr. Aswe Igodalo, the chairman of the board of directors of the first applicant, or failing him, that Mr. Abubakar Suleiman, the managing director, CEO of the first applicant, be appointed chairman of the first applicant's meeting, or failing them both, any other director of the first applicant, so appointed in their stead by the shareholders of the first applicants present at the first applicant's meeting, shall act as the chairman of the first applicant's meeting and to report the proceedings thereat to this court. 5, that an order is granted directing that the shareholders of the first applicant can vote at the first applicant's meeting through the proxies appointed from the list of proxies designated by the board of directors of the first applicant, registered emails or other electronic platforms, or such other virtual or audiovisual communication facilities as may be made available, without requiring the shareholders of the first applicant or their proxies to physically assemble at a common venue. 6, that an order is granted directing that if the first applicant's meeting approves the scheme by a majority representing no less than 3/4 in value of the shares of member being present and voting, whether in person, by proxy, via email, by telephone, or such other electronic means, or through virtual or audiovisual communication facilities, and thereafter, upon the approval of the Securities and Exchange Commission, a report of the first applicant's meeting be presented to this honorable court, along with a petition for an order of this honorable court to sanction the scheme. 7, that an order is granted directing the second applicant to convene a meeting of its shareholders for the purpose of considering and, if thought fit, approving with or without modification the transfer of the non-interest banking business of the first applicant to the second applicant in the form and context set out in the scheme documents annexed herewith. 8, that an order is granted directing that the second applicant's meeting be convened and held at the Muson Center, Onikon, Lagos, or such other venue as the directors of the second applicants may determine on the 19th day of September 2022 at 2 p.m. or such other time, or such other dates and or time as the board of directors of the second applicants may determine. 9, that an order is granted directing that the second applicant's meeting be held in any manner as the second applicant's board of directors may deem fit, including participation by telephone or such other audio-visual communication facilities as the directors may deem fit, provided that the Notice shall specify the instructions on how to access and participate in that meeting. 10. That an order is granted directing that Mr. Abubakar Suleiman, a director of the second applicant, or failing him, Mr. Yemi Odubi, a director of the second applicant, or failing them both, any shareholder of the second applicant, so appointed in their stead by the shareholders present at the second applicant's meeting, be appointed as chairman of the second applicant's meeting, and to report the proceedings to this court. 11. That an order is granted directing that if the second applicant's meeting approves the proposed transfer of the non-interest banking business of the first applicant by a majority representing no less than 3/4 in value of the shares of members being present and voting, whether in person, by proxy, via email, by telephone, or such other electronic means, or through virtual or audio-visual communication facilities, and a report of the second applicant's meeting be presented to this honorable court, along with a petition for an order of this honorable court to sanction the transfer. 12. That an order is granted directing that, save as otherwise stated, the aforesaid meetings of each of the applicants be held and conducted in the manner that general meetings of the applicants are held, and in accordance with the provisions of the respective articles of association of the applicants. And notice convening the meetings shall also be sent to all shareholders via electronic mail, in accordance with the provisions of the respective articles of association of the applicant. 13. That an order is granted directing that voting at each of the aforesaid meetings of each of the applicants shall be by poll, issued at Lagos under the seal of the court and the hand of the presiding judge, this 5th day of August, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Oyebanjo. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'll be referring to the scheme document which you received prior to this court-ordered meeting. The scheme document contains the following. A, an explanatory statement from the bank's financial advisor on the proposed scheme of arrangement. The statement specifies the terms, the reasons for, and the effect of the proposed scheme of arrangement. This can be found on pages 12 to 17. The scheme of arrangement, which can be found on pages 18 to 21 of the scheme document. Appendix 1, which can be found on pages 22 to 36, which provides further information on the bank. Appendix 2, on pages 37 to 40, which provides financial information on your bank. Appendix 3 on pages 41 to 43, which provides further information on Sterling Financial Holdings, the holding company. Appendix 4 on pages 44 to 46, which provides further information on the Alternative Banking Limited. Appendix 5 on pages 47 to 50, which provides pro forma financial information. And Appendix 7 on, Appendix 6 on page 51, which provides further information on fixed asset schedules of the bank and the Alternative Bank Limited. Appendix 7 on page 52, which provides information on the tax opinion. And Appendix 8 on page 55, which provides information on notice of the court-ordered meeting. The registrar has confirmed that the scheme document, together with the notice convening the meeting and the proxy forms for use at this meeting, were sent electronically to all shareholders with valid email addresses and physically to all other shareholders of the company. The notice of the meeting was also published in 2 national newspapers, the Vanguard and This Day. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I now lay the scheme document before you, and with your permission, I would like to take it as read. Thank you very much. As you have seen from the notice convening this meeting, the purpose of the meeting is to consider and, if thought fit, approve with or without modification, a proposed scheme of arrangement between your bank and the holders of fully paid ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the bank under Section 715 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, number 3 of 2020, as amended, incorporating a carve-out and transfer of the bank's non-interest banking business under Section 711 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act number 3 of 2020 as amended. With your permission, I would just like to say a few words on some key aspects of the proposed scheme, particularly the reasons for undertaking the scheme and the envisaged effects. Further to the CBN's regulation on the scope of banking activities and ancillary matters number 3 of 2010, Regulation 3, which repealed the Universal Banking Guidelines with effect from November 15, 2010, the board and management of the bank concluded at the time that the proposed restructuring will yield significant benefits, allowing shareholders continued exposure to the bank's existing lines of businesses, whilst providing the flexibility to start offering a broad range of financial services and products, and enabling the group adapt to future business opportunities. The proposed restructuring entails the creation of a new operating holding company, which we call Holdco. This operating company will hold the shares of this bank, and the holding company will be called Sterling Financial Holding Company Limited. And will be registered as a PLC and listed. It will also hold the shares of the newly incorporated Alternative Banking Limited, which will now house our non-interest banking. The assets, liabilities, and undertaking of the non-interest banking business will be carved out of the bank and transferred to the Alternative Bank Limited. Following the implementation of the scheme, shareholders of the bank will exchange their shares in the bank for shares in Holdco in exactly the same proportion as their current holdings in the bank. The bank will be delisted from the daily list of the NGX, and Holdco will now be listed on the NGX following its re-registration as a public company. The bank will subsequently be registered as a private limited liability company. Some of the benefits of the scheme. This proposed restructuring is expected to provide the following benefits to the bank's shareholders. It will ensure that we're in full compliance with the CBN Regulation number 3, as we seek to facilitate diversification into other permissible business lines, which will promote our growth and definitely enhance our shareholder value. It will also consolidate the financial strength of the group, which will improve access and ability to raise capital, which may otherwise be difficult for the individual subsidiaries. Upon this scheme becoming effective, each scheme shareholder will receive one Holdco share, which will be credited as fully paid up in exchange for every one share that they currently hold in the bank. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the scheme document, I believe, has been fully read and digested, and I've just tried to give a very brief summary of its contents. I respectfully throw the floor open to shareholders. If there are any comments, questions, and we'll take them. Thank you very much. Yes, Chief Boniface, thank you.
Mr. Chairman of Sterling Bank PSC, we are still Sterling Bank PSC until after this meeting. Directors of our company, fellow distinguished shareholder, good morning. My name is Okezie Boniface. Mr. Chairman, I think it's a straight business, but my worry and fear is this somersault regulations in the banking industry. Today, every bank now or companies are transferring to HOCO. And I hope, my worry, that in future, we will not go back the way we were. Because Sterling Bank, like other banks, have subsidiary. The same CBN made you to divest from those subsidiaries. Some of them are sold. But today, if you are transferring to HOCO, that means you need to have other companies that will bring in money for you to be able to pay dividend. We cannot be dependent on the bank that will now become subsidiary to the HOCO. Because the bank is the one we're relying now giving dividend. That means if the bank are taken away to stand on its own as a limited liability, which is a subsidiary to the HOCO, it will give us dividend. Like shareholders are now expecting dividend, not for the bank again, but the bank is now going to contribute for the dividend that HOCO will be paying to the shareholders of HOCO PSC. And for us not to overburden them, every other group that made up HOCO must contribute. I hope we are really prepared for these things. We have other many banks that we are also a shareholder who are HOCO. They have a lot of companies in their kit that will be contributing for you to pay hands dividend. That is not met. We are not losing any shares. The shares are transferred wholly to HOCO. So nobody is losing or has investments in Sterling. The Sterling still remain as a company. But only the bank have been taken. We are not going to attend meeting for the bank. It is the directors now representing not attending meeting for the banks, which is a subsidiary. So, Mr. Chairman, that means we need to begin to, the management, the staff need to begin to work hard, and the board, to make sure we nurture other products than from a company that will be in the HOCO group. They begin to give us returns on our investments. Since that's the norm, the practice now, we will align ourselves. We'll not be going to left out. Because I think there's opportunity in that arrangement abound. But the directors and the management would not be hard working to make sure that we will translate to reality in making a bigger company that we can say, yes, this is a company we can rely upon as a HOCO in Sterling, like others who have been before it. Mr. Chairman, and that's my comment. My fear, the regulator also must be careful in what they are doing, so that other CBN governors may emerge in the next 1 year or 2 years. We still go back to an old order. So that's the somersault in regulators. And as soon as we finish the meeting, I know we go back to courts. Court doesn't delay sanctioning. But the problem we have is also so-called regulators, mostly SEC. And the CBN will delay giving this approval for us to take off. So that the bank also will, the bank will stand doing their business is not going to be hindered. Just to change nomenclature, the limited liability, that's all, tag. It's still there, they have still their structures. you know. So the regulator must be up and doing. Make sure the investors does not lose their investments. Because the problem we have is regulators. Regulators. You could look at stock exchange today. People were having a high hope. That one is also in a total disarray. That's a problem. They regulate, they will force you, but when they come to their own now begin to run. They have seen how business is being run. They can't able to run it again. That's the problem. That's the problem. A lot of people are buying, the shares were going higher. But today, where is it today? So these regulators, they need to wake up. They need to wake up and do the regulation work. Not over-regulating, overheating the industry. That is what we witnessing currently. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for Nigerians. I rest my case, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okeze. I'll take Dr. Farouk, then I'll come to Nona. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm happy today that Sterling Bank is now moving to the HoldCo structure. But before I continue with my comments, I would like us to, when we list the company, Mr. Chairman, we should abbreviate the name. Because if it is too long, sometimes people find it cumbersome to pronounce. Rather than have Sterling Financial Holding Company, PLC, we should say SF Holdings, PLC. This is just my advice. Mr. Chairman, the main advantage of a holding company is that it does not have to file different tax returns for each of the subsidiary companies. Now, I would like to take you to page 52. On page 52, Mr. Chairman, Appendix 7, is the tax opinion. And I think shareholders should be familiar with this advantage. Briefly to summarize, there are three main points here: that Sterling Financial Holdings Company Limited will not be liable to income tax based on dividend declared and paid, i.e. excess dividend tax. This is a good advantage for us. Secondly, the share exchange between HoldCo and Sterling Bank PLC will not give rise to capital gains tax payable, subject to the exemption provided in Section 30, Subsection 2 of the Capital Gains Tax. And finally, Sterling Financial Holdings Company Limited and the Alternative Bank Limited qualify for the waiver of stamp duties. Mr. Chairman, this is one advantage that we are going to enjoy if we convert to a holding company. Again, Mr. Chairman, the structure will protect our assets. I mean, a holding company can hold the valuable assets of our business. It will reduce the risk. And I think CBN, the regulators, are always concerned with the risk associated with our business. Now, dividends received from the subsidiaries will be tax-free. Whereas if we don't have a whole structure, each of the subsidiaries will be paying tax. Then it will also allow us to go into other businesses. And I think this is also an advantage to us. We can invest in securities, we can invest in landed properties, and so on. And I think this is going to be good for us. Succession planning also. If we have a whole core structure, our succession planning will be pursued and it will be strong. Now, Mr. Chairman, apart from this, we also will have to benefit from other things, like insurance. You know, if a subsidiary company goes under, it will only, maybe we will only lose our shares. We will not be liable to pay, to be liable for any claim from the other parties who are associated with the subsidiary. So, Mr. Chairman, I fully support the idea that we should have a holding company. If you look at the banking industry today, many banks are moving to holdco. Why are they moving to holdco? I think these are the advantages that they see. FBN was the first, now GT, now you have Stanbic, now you have FCMB, now JAIS is going to holdco, and then Sterling Bank. So this shows that the future of the banking industry is in the holdco structure, and we cannot be an exemption. And Mr. Chairman, also, I think we as shareholders will also benefit more when you have a holdco structure. Now, if we approve this scheme for you, we will be the second organization or second banking industry in the country that will be having two banks. FBN has a merchant bank, and we are going to have the alternative bank. And this is, again, a credit to Sterling Bank. When you go holdco structure, your customers will have more confidence in you as well as shareholders. So, Mr. Chairman, I conclude by saying I commend you for this foresight, and I wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you. You said if we approve it for you. You mean if we approve it for us, not for you. No.
The chairman, other members of the board, very distinguished fellow shareholders. My name's Nona Awu. Mr. Chairman, you alluded to the fact that I was looking southwards. I did, because I heard you in the course of introduction that you are already in the election mood. I heard you call the company secretary handsome. Professional parties.
I said hard working.
Okay, I thought I heard handsome.
No.
Okay.
I won't call a woman handsome, no matter how beautiful she is. I think you can grant me that. Yeah.
I also heard the adjective that you use for some of the professional parties. But the only one that you didn't qualify well, and hence I was interested. You decided to take the representative from CBN in silos. What you'll have said is that you have a delegate from CBN. I think that would have been a much more, rather than just take them standalone basis. But much more importantly to the transaction of today is the fact that I wish we had more of people who now believe in OLCO 12 years ago. And because at a stage, only a few of us said, sorry, the route that you are going is the route that you'll come back to. But I'm happy that we now have more converts, except that that conversion has also cost us money. Because a few persons took advantage of the minority shareholders. Some persons cornered the so-called companies that they were going to spin off to themselves, which is rather unfortunate. And that's where some of us have challenged with regulators. Yes, you say today is not for regulator, but it's important that we keep pointing to our regulators. Yes, everywhere in the world, the players are usually ahead of regulators. But when the regulators decide to tie themselves to a pole and thinking that they can use binocular to see what is happening, it then becomes a challenge. But Mr. Chairman, I want to remind us that this is exactly 16 years that Sterling himself came about when he moved in taking up the small banks and all of that happened. But going forward, now that we have a holdco, because certainly I will approve, haven't supported that 12 years ago, or haven't been my position 12 years ago. One of the major abuses, and I'm happy that regulators are here, with holdco, which we need to define and don't fall into, is a situation where people don't even know who represents them on the board of the subsidiaries. And that has been one of the major sources of abuse. For one of the big banks, we had a chairman who will put all his cronies on the board of the subsidiary, including secretaries that are close to him. And I'm hoping and praying that that will not be the position here. But it's important that you give us an assurance that should we give you the approval, because like I said, I will give. I don't know what the other votes have been. It's important that disclosure has to be different from what we are seeing across board. It is not sufficient for you to give me the board of just the holding company. Who sits on the board of the subsidiary is also important. That way, the issue of succession that Farouk talked about can be better monitored. That is the first assurance I will want to give. And from what I also find here, we will have a minimum of 4 boards from the new structure that we hope that will emerge from today's meeting. I want to be confirmed. I want that to be confirmed that I'm also correct.
I think we start with 3.
Okay, we'll start with 3, but yes, we can get a maximum of 4.
As we start getting subsidiaries, okay, each subsidiary will have its own board.
Okay. And it's also important in this regard that we don't have the major shareholders, especially those of you who have 5%, to want to populate the board of the 3 once they take off. Because everywhere you have looked at in our Nigerian market today, it's a case of either the majority kidnapping the minority or a few minority gang up to take away the powers of the majority. And I'm hoping that that will not be the problem here. I say this because that is the problem that is becoming obvious across boards for most of the holdcos as they currently operate. However, now that we know who the vice chairman is, Chief Abu, but I'm also told that yourself and Udubi are the shareholder to the other company that we are bringing in to form part of the subsidiary that will make up the holdco. But what if you read the...
Sorry, Nuna, so we don't have misconceptions. They are directors. The shareholder is your bank.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
No, they are directors. They are not the shareholders.
No, from the way it is put here.
No, you said directors.
Okay, no, they hold 2 shares each on behalf of. That is the way it's put in this document. I'm not a lawyer, but I try to read English. Okay? And if that is the case, which means there are only 2 directors, and by extension, just 2 shareholders representing the bank. I say this because sometimes you want to also be careful, like I said, as a lay person. Because if you read this article, the court order on page 4, and you are reading the MD and Udubi And then you then said in the absence of the two, any other shareholder. And I'm wondering, where is the other shareholder coming in from? Don't mind me, I'm reading English. Okay, but it's important that we also don't have this cut and paste. If you go to a court, I thought the court itself should try and understand the full implication of the approval that they are giving. So if you put in a third shareholder when the maximum you have is 2, then that is the concern that I want, because from what you said now, they're just 2 shareholders. The other one that I also think has to do with regulators. Whether we want it or not, SEC is a beneficiary in this exercise. Okay? You've already disclosed that there will be a movement of 20 billion from the bank to the whole co. There's some level of loss in quotes. But how much is the cost of our transaction? Because it's a big challenge for some of us. I know they're going to tell you, oh, if we are going to have this scheme or this transaction, there's a cost attached to it. Shouldn't the shareholders of the business know? Shouldn't we know how much SEC is going to earn? Shouldn't we? I know one of the answers you're also likely to give, we don't know, you don't have the total picture. You have an estimate. We should know the estimate. No country in the world will do, no advanced market will do some of the things that our regulators are parading here. Yes, it's not in this document, but we'll be hoping that SEC, CBN, and NGX Limited will be a little more disciplined in making sure that disclosures are total, no partial disclosure. Because anybody who is buying an investment is basically buying information. So when you give half information and you keep the other information, it's useless. It's useless. I know the answer they probably will give is half bread is better than none. Even in this instance, they have not even provided a quarter slice of a bread, talk less of half bread. So please, if it's within your power, disclose to us what this transaction will cost us. 16 years ago, when the same transaction was done, there was disclosure in terms of cost. If you look at the major transaction, global market, disclosure in terms of cost are also in the documents. Meanwhile, you're talking about a government that is fighting corruption. You are a subsidiary as an agency of government that is also supposed to be fighting corruption. How do you fight corruption without disclosure? Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Nona. Thank you. I'll take Alhaji Tambari, then I'll take Mr. Ido, and I'll come to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, my colleague shareholders, regulatory authorities. My name is Kabir Abdullahi Tambari, one of the shareholders. My little comment will go to the chairman first. As a lawyer, I know anywhere I see ASU, he has to be careful, especially with the regulatory issues. I know him for a decade, not in Sterling Bank. I know the kind of contribution he did in one of the Dangote, when he's the chairman of Dangote Salt, up to Okomu, where he's a director, up to where he finds himself in Sterling Bank. And some of these holdco now, some banks are going. I'm a shareholder of several banks that have gone to holdco. And this issue of CB and all regulatories have come generally. And with holdco, for my little benefit on it, at least we will get 5 years tax-free on it. And even, for example, if another CBN governor or another CBN management come with another issue, it will not affect only Sterling Bank. So for me, I really support 100% Sterling Bank to go to holdco, especially in terms of paying dividend. It will come to us as free. And also we join our colleagues. If you see some people are benefiting in a basket or in a cake, try to put your hands on it. I know a lot of banks that have gone. They are financial institutions and banks like Sterling Bank. And for my own side, I don't like that Sterling name to be shortage. Please, board and management, I want Sterling Bank to be started as Sterling that financial management and financial limit, Holdco Limited. Because some customers now, somebody doesn't know if you short it maybe to S or whatever. With that issue, maybe he can go and withdraw his account. Maybe it's another bank. But by seeing Sterling, he has already known Sterling. So he can continue with his banking with Sterling. Holdco. Even if it is Holdco, the moment we approve it now, they will change the signboard. I know part of it, there is one bank I know that when we give them the approval of Holdco, they go back, if you look at their branches, you will see the shortage. So it's good that Sterling Bank should be part of it. So for me, I would like to commend our board and management for going to Holdco, and we are going to support it, God willing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alhaji. Thank you, sir.
The chairman and other board members, the single shareholders, my name is Benga Idowu. I'm a shareholder of the bank and proxy representative of this court ordered meeting. There are questions that agitate the minds. And the question is not to our bank, but actually to the regulators. The regulators, if they are forward-looking, like the practitioner or the operators, we will not be where we are today. Because one leg forward, two legs backward. This Holdco business is universal banking that been so change, and everybody is trying to find their bearing back to their feet. That's why everybody is looking for ways to do it. Those are the operators. I think thank God that many of the regulators are here. I think they should go back and take the message back. They should be thinking forward, not sitting down because they have government backing and they are not thinking the way they are supposed to think. It only put the economy backward. I want to commend Sterling Board and management. First, why can't they too take number one? That's what they are trying to say. They are forward-looking and they are working. Yes, they may not have all the assets and whatever to be where number one is today, but I think tomorrow, they are showing us what tomorrow is likely to be. And that's what they are doing by this Holdco. Going forward, I support the Holdco. But the question now is, when you are going to the Holdco, you want to bake bigger cake. That's the alternative banking. Somebody has alluded to, you are whether number 2 or whatever bank now. One at Machamba, but you are doing the alternative. That is thinking. Good thinking will bring good product. And that's what we are doing. I support it fully. But going along there are some questions that other speakers have alluded to. First, the succession plan, which this Holdco will provide. That means that we will know those people and the subsidiary. Are they faring? That when there are openings in the Holdco structure, we will recommend we want Mr. So and so, Ms. So and so to be there. We must know them. And then we must know how they are faring. then that one will give the OCO very good yardstick to table that they are not the rule of the terms. They are doing by what people have contributed, what they are really done is what the promotion is bringing out. In terms of, I have no fear about the thinking of the board and the result that is likely to generate. That's what we are seeing today. They are holding their own fort, like all other banks within the country. But we want to see in terms of result, what the kind of result that are presently generating and what we are likely to get at the OCO structure. Because that one would tell us so many, there is nothing you can talk about. The result, what's the result? That one will tell us so many stories. And we want to really pray along with you that the Lord will give you wisdom and then good health to actually carry out what you have in mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam, Mrs. Augustine, then I'll come to you, Chief Adebayo. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, and eminent shareholders. Mr. Chairman, a lot has been said here, but I want you to do as the person that we know. Because for the little years that I've known you, you are a man of your word. And we shareholders have the confidence in you that what you say, you are going to do it. And I don't want anything that will make you not to do what you have promised the shareholder. Because I know you will never be in the part of person that will shortchange your shareholder. We have not seen that in your hand. And I want you to do exactly as you know that it will benefit your shareholder. Mr. Chairman, me too, I fully support the proposal, and I'm going to give you what that is good. And I want you to promise your shareholders that what you have in mind is what you are going to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam. I solemnly promise.
Mr. Chairman of Sterling Bank PLC, our directors, our regulators, and distinguished shareholders, good morning. Mr. Chairman, let me start by saying that this meeting is quite an answer-providing meeting, because there has been quite a lot of speculation in the market that some Tier 2 banks are on the ground planning mergers and acquisition. And our bank is mentioned in that discourse. I want to believe that this meeting today shows that we know where we are going and we are not thinking about somebody coming to swallow us. And this is a brand that we want to do everything possible, not only to preserve, but to continue to build upon. Mr. Chairman, I think that shareholders also should not be misinformed or misled or misread the intentions in these documents. I have not read anywhere in this document that says that the shareholders will not pay tax. What I've read here is that the tax will be, the withholding tax will be deductible at the bank level, and as a franked investment, when it comes to the old co, there will be no double taxation. That is what is expressly stated here. So that people will not hold you responsible when they discover in the long run that the dividend payable by the bank has been, some withholding tax has been subtracted before it comes to the holding company. And it doesn't go to your personal pocket. So we need to clear the hair on that. I think the main issue here is we are taking from the left pocket and we are putting in the right pocket. But it gives us much more room to now explore investments that can add value to the group as a whole and benefit the shareholders in the long run. I have two observations, Mr. Chairman. On pages 27 to 32, where we have the some extract from the MEMAT. Going through those extracts, Mr. Chairman, I will suggest, and I want to believe that you will agree with me, that there is a need for us to comprehensively review our memorandum and articles of association in view of current developments, both within the market, within the bank, and the holdco. You will discover that a lot of them are actually not as current as they would have loved them to be. Second observation, Mr. Chairman, is that in this scheme document, we have quite some historical data and account about Sterling Bank. That we know that most of them are already in the public domain. Yes, the alternative bank is yet to commence operation in scheme of the way we want it to go now. But I think even as a scheme document, we should have provided some form of forecast concerning the alternative bank. This is what projections, 3 years projections or 5 years projections, because we are making that investment. And we also want to have an idea of what it is likely to look like. Nana was talking about the concept of how much it will cost. So we also want to find out the concept of how will the operation be and how profitable it will be, so we have something to look up to. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, I still want to go a little bit further before dropping the microphone. On the issue of the new emerging boards, I agree with you, we are going to have 3. When in the course of proceedings, we have more and more companies, subsidiaries joining us. Each of them will have their board. But for now, we have for the bank. Now we are going to have for the alternative bank, and then we are going to have for the holdco. Nona has told you what you shouldn't do. Populating everywhere with majority shareholders and this and that. But he didn't tell you what you should do. And I'm taking it a step further to say what minority shareholders we want you to do is to get minority shareholders represented on these boards. Get minority shareholders represented on these boards. Now you're having 3 different boards. Get minority shareholders represented on this board. I have no doubt that the space is widening for us now. We have been curtailed under the previous arrangements, but with the holdco, the expanse is there. And we will now begin to leverage on the initiative of the board to bring to bear on what other businesses we can do that can get us more and more dividend. We want to have streams of income in the holdco. And I'm putting you to task, and I believe you are more than able. So thank you very much for this opportunity. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. I noticed that Mr. Ridwan Hamza has come in, and also my big brother, Sasoni, was so welcome. Sasoni, I thought I saw your hand up, sir. Yes, please, proceed. Yes, you may sit, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, we are aware that what the benefit that rain brings, it's been raining since morning. With our meeting, it means that there is going to be a good harvest ahead of this meeting. We are farmers. Mr. Chair, the reason why I managed to be here is that I want to support this scheme. At the airport, there is protest. Everywhere is blocked by the students and with the rain. The second important thing is that we'll be able to measure Sterling Bank with all those in the same grade with Sterling Bank at the end of each financial year. Since we are HOCO, some of them are also HOCO. I know there are big ones that we cannot use to measure Sterling, but at least efforts will be realized from the account that we are going to get. So that is why I decided I must be here to give you all the support with my colleagues to go ahead with this HOCO. But I'm sure the little I've heard from Bayo, I know that's the way I will also go. That since the HOCO will give us an opportunity to open up and be able to harness some of the good businesses that are already excised out by central bank. So we have a central bank that is in nature very competitive with other banks that they are regulating, but you have to do all you can to ensure that the shareholders of Sterling will smile home at every end of the financial year with HOCO, insurance and other things. And the investment must also be right, because if the investment is not right, it will take away all the good things that we expected from you. So, just like you know, I've been warned not to talk too much. My final word is that I'm supporting this scheme, and please ensure that you do everything possible to put smiles on the faces of your shareholders. You have heard about minority representative on the board. There is no way you cannot appoint a minority representative for us. It's not possible. We want somebody that we can always hold responsible within our own palace to say, you are there to represent us and you are not doing the right thing. We need somebody that will be communicating with us from time to time so that we know, not disclosing what is not supposed to disclose, because I know there are rules, corporate governance rules regarding information and all this and that. But we need somebody who will be there to represent us and represent us properly. So I wish you best of luck on this new venture that we are going into, the HOCO issue. Even though we can see it to be a new thing, but it's very tight because so many of them are into HOCO already. So best of luck, and I know with your cheerful smiles and face, God will hear our prayers. And I want to appreciate all the directors and the entire workforce of Sterling for the moral support that they have given me. Since January 25, I fell into this different stage of human life. I want to thank you all for that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Sir Sonny. And as always very happy to see you in good health. God bless you, sir. Thank you. If there are no further comments, I'll just go directly to answering some of the comments and questions that have been raised. And I'll first start with Chief Okeze. The issue on policy reversal, you know, that's beyond my pay grade. So I'll leave that to those who are paid to talk about policy reversal and who set policy. But the only thing I can tell you is that your bank and the holdco, when it starts operation, will do everything possible to assure value, regardless the policy. That's why you pay your management, and that's why you have a board. We have to think ahead and we have to be strategic, regardless the policy. We will all survive in this environment, no matter how tough it may be. So we assure you. Again, on the issue of value, your board and management are taking this holdco issue extremely seriously on the issues of diversification. And we will very carefully select how and where we diversify into. It must be value enhancing, value creating, value contributing. And we promise you that, you know. I see I'm making a number of promises today, but again, I thank God that He has helped me to keep the promises I've made to date, and I hope I will continue to strive by His grace to ensure we keep those promises. So, we promise you, sir, that the management has been working hard, strategizing, advising board. We've been looking at these issues. We will not go into anything that will lose you money or cost you anything. Anything we go into will be value enhancing. I promise you. Dr. Farouk, thank you very much for your suggestion on the name. We will look at it, but I see also that others think that the name should stay as it is, but we'll look at it. We'll talk to our communications people, we'll do some market sampling, and we'll look at it. From our market sampling to date, the name we chose appeared to be the ideal, but we will take your advice. Mr. Awo, the abuses that you highlight are true, and there's some of the things that we find in our environment, very sadly. But again, your board, your management, don't engage in those abuses. We haven't and we will not. And we'll do our best to maintain our highest level of integrity. That I assure you. The way we choose directors will also be fair, open, and independent. It will be skills-based, depending on the skills we require on our board to be able to be an effective board. But I also hear all of the shareholders here about minority shareholder participation. I also hear that you cannot shave a man's head in his absence. That means the minority shareholders must have a say on those we ask to come on the board. So all of that is taken into consideration, and I promise I will take this back to the board and to all other shareholders. I assure you, Mr. Awo, that the owner of the alternative bank, after we approve this scheme today, will be the holdco. Clearly, and it's clear in the document, and it's clear in the resolution. So have no fear. Abu and Yemi are not running away with your alternative bank. It will happen. So have no fear whatsoever. I thank Alhaji Tambari for his comments. Chief Ido, the idea of the holdco is to bake the bigger cake. That's the idea of the holdco. And we've taken our time to be strategic about this. And we promise you that in the next few months, you will see the direction in which our holdco will be taking the whole group. So worry not. Again, I promise you. And I also understand the comments of succession planning, succession training particularly. If somebody has been good or exceptional in the holdco, it's easier to promote them up into the, it has been good in the subsidiary, it's easy to promote them into the bank or into the holdco or wherever we think those skills are required. So it's well taken, and we will also focus on that. We're already doing a lot of work internally in that area, and we will continue to work on it. Mrs. Augustine, I've already made the promise to you. Again, I reiterate that we will be working in the best interest of the shareholders at all times. We've always done so over time, and particularly in the last few years that I have sat on this board, and by your grace being the chairman of the board, that has been our focus, and it shall remain our focus. Sorry, let me quickly go back to Nona. Nona, you asked for costs, and I do apologize that we didn't specify it or highlight it. We were still working on estimates as the document went. But I see here that our total regulatory and administrative costs will be estimated at about 324 million. At the beginning, it was estimated at 784. But because we were able to get the tax waivers on stamp duty and on the NGX listing fees, we've been able to bring it down to 324. So it will be around that, estimated. But thank you for bringing this up in the spirit of full disclosure. Thank you. Chief Bayo, if we were going to do any restructuring or any sort of merger or marriage, we would come to you, we will tell you. And thank you for your confidence in your board and in management. Definitely the MEMATs will be reviewed. We're transiting into a private company now, so the MEMATs we have for a PLC will not be the same, it's not apt. There are also some legacy things in our MEMATs that either the new law or new regulation have changed. So our external lawyers working with our company secretary will extensively review the MEMATs for the bank, which after today becomes a limited company, and the holdco and the other subsidiaries, so that they're fit for purpose. Okay, so that is assured. On the issue of the forecast, we've provided full information as requested by the regulators. But even if you look at the bank balance sheet and the bank financials, you have a fair idea of the contribution of the non-interest banking. And that's where we will take off from. The non-interest banking is a strong contributor to our bottom line now. And when it's on its own, it will even be much stronger. Our determination is to make it number one in that space. And we're well on the way to achieving that. We've talked about minority shareholder representation on the board, and I won't flog that. But again, it's something we'll focus on. Sasoni, yes, we will now be able to compare apples with apples, and you will be able to truly see the performance of your board and management. So help us God. And yes, shareholders will smile even more. I think I've covered all the questions, basically. I think so. So I thank shareholders very much. With your permission, may I proceed? Thank you very much. In accordance with Section 248(1)(a) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, I, as chairman of this meeting, hereby call for a poll in respect of all the items on the agenda. The motion to be voted upon may only be carried by special resolution. That is, the statutory majority required to approve the proposed scheme of arrangement is a majority representing not less than 3/4 of the number of shares covered by the proxy forms duly received here today. Voting shall be conducted using e-voting devices to cast your votes. I'd like to call on Mr. Adeniji to take us through the voting procedure. Mr. Adeniji from our registrars.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, Mr. Adeniji, I'd like you to come forward so everybody can see you. And I suspect you will need to come with one of the devices so that we can all see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On our voting device given to us, if you are for the motion, you press 1. If you are against the motion, you press 2. That's all, sir.
So if you're
for the motion,
if you're for the motion, you support
1.
the scheme, you press 1.
Yes, sir.
If you do not, you press 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So we're ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
To facilitate the smooth conduct of the business of today, I will move the motion, and I will respectfully invite a seconder from the floor. The seconder is respectfully requested to state his or her name so that the company secretary can take proper notes. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the subjoined proposed resolution to be considered and, if thought fit, passed as a special resolution are contained in the notice for this meeting on pages 52 to 57. I will now read the subjoined resolutions for your consideration. 1. That the scheme of arrangement dated 5th August 2022, a printed copy of which has been produced for the meeting for the purposes of identification only, signed by the chairman, be and is hereby approved. 2, that in accordance with the scheme of arrangement, the 28,790,418,124 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the issued and paid up share capital of the bank held by the scheme shareholders be and are hereby transferred to Sterling Financial Holding Company Limited in exchange for the allotment of 28,790,418,124 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each in the share capital of the holdco to the shareholders in the same proportion to their shareholding in the bank, credited as fully paid without any further act or deed. 3, that the bank shall transfer all the assets, liabilities, and undertakings related to the non-interest banking business to the Alternative Bank Limited. 4, that in accordance with the scheme of arrangement, all of the shares held by the bank and its nominee in the Alternative Bank Limited, together with all rights and liabilities attached to such shares, shall be transferred to Holdco. The Alternative Bank Limited will be a direct subsidiary of Holdco. 5, that the Board of Directors of the bank be and is hereby authorized to take all necessary actions to delist the shares of the bank from the official list of the Nigerian Exchange Limited. 6, that the bank be re-registered as a private limited company under the Companies Allied and Matters Act, and the memorandum and articles of the bank be and are hereby amended as set out in the annexure to the notice meeting. 7, that the solicitors of the company be directed to seek orders of the court sanctioning the scheme and the foregoing resolutions, as well as such incidental, consequential, and supplemental orders as are necessary or required to give full effect to the scheme. And 8, that the Board of Directors of the bank be and is hereby authorized to do all such other acts and take all such actions as are required to give effect to the scheme, including consenting to any modifications of the scheme or any conditions that the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal High Court, or any other regulatory authority may think fit to approve or impose. I hereby move that the subjoined proposed resolution be approved. Can I have a seconder, please? Okay, let me ask Mr. Ridwan Hamza. I haven't heard his voice today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Prince Hamza Ridwan. I rise to second the motion.
Thank you very much. Before I put the motion to the meeting, please remember, if you're for, you press 1, and if you are not for, which I hope not, you press 2. I now put the motion to the meeting, and I call on the registrars to start the process. Thank you very much.
The voting will soon commence anytime from now. As earlier said, if you are for the motion, you press 1. If you are against, you press 2. Votes commence. Some seconds left. You have 5 seconds. 4, 2, 1. Close. Thank you.
Voting completed?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Can we wait patiently while the scrutineers summarize and confirm the result of the votes? I think we can have that in a few minutes. Thank you.
Sir, that is the result, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, scrutineers and registrar. Beg your pardon, sir. I can. No, you know, if they see both of us, they'll suspect you're older than me, although you're not. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, based on the results that I have before me, in front of me and behind me, I declare this motion unanimously carried. And I'd like to thank all shareholders for this distinct honor. It shows the faith that you have in your board and in your management. Thank you so much. Going forward now, we will report the result of this meeting and file it with the Securities and Exchange Commission for their final approval. Hopefully, we should get this out within the next 2 weeks. Following the grant of the final approval by SEC, a copy of the results will be submitted to the Federal High Court to enable it to sanction the scheme. Once the scheme is sanctioned by the Federal High Court, we'll file it at the Corporate Affairs Commission, and once we file it, the scheme becomes immediately effective on that day. Again, I'd like to thank our distinguished shareholders. Like I said at the beginning, I thank you so much for coming out on a Monday morning, not just a Monday morning, a very rainy Monday morning. I thank you so much. Also, on behalf of the board and the management, we'd like to thank you all for your cooperation, particularly over the last 6, 7 years. We're truly grateful. on behalf of the new entities that are going to emerge, we promise you, as we've promised today, that we will be a truly value-enhancing group of companies that will make our shareholders smile. We will do everything within our power to move our institution into the first tier, everything within our power. So help us God. Thank you so much. I thank you so much for attending. God Almighty bless us all till we meet again in another form by His grace. Thank you. God bless you. Can I ask Mrs. Augustine to please give us closing prayers? Mrs. Augustine. Then we'll take the national anthem right after the closing prayers. Thank you very much. God bless you. Good afternoon. Sir. Oh, okay, 7 minutes ahead. Good morning. Thank you. Mrs. Augustine.
Our Heavenly God, Jehovah, we thank you for the fulfillment of this meeting that we are having this morning. You have accepted our thanks, and we want you to be with us till we reach our destination. Everyone that present here today, we want you to take every one of us back home safely. And at the end of the things that we are doing today, we have cause to glorify your holy name. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we have prayed.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Augustine.
Hi, I'm John. I'm just your regular guy doing stuff like most of you are. I'm also one of the 3 million customers of Sterling. 3 million? Now that's surprising. You know why? It's because they make me feel like the only guy in the world. Does that remind you of someone? Anyway, back to topic. I have one of their branches down my street, but guess what? You hardly ever see my shadow there. And that's because they've made so many banking options available to me, all right here at my fingertips. With 12,383 POS terminals and 654 active ATMs spread across places I go, and the online banking suite One Bank, I can bank within my own space. Even my slow network is no match for me, because I'm also one of the 2 million USSD users who bank without the internet. I feel so much in control of my resources anytime and anywhere. I've never felt better. Choose convenient banking. To find out more, visit sterling.ng/onebank.